Hey everybody, it's me Stacey, licensed designer for Sizzix, and I am here at Scrapbook.com making, makes, and playing the day away with you today. Are you ready? Now, Sizzix, what are they known for? How about amazing tools? Really innovative tools that will allow your creativity to grow with you. And today I am playing with two of the most amazing Sizzix tools ever. The first, the brand new Stacey Park Big Shot machine, and second, the Scrapbook.com Cherry Blossom Stencil and Stamp tool. So I'm going to get started today, and we're going to be playing with stencils and 3D embossing folders, and then we're going to make them work together. Let's get going. I'm going to start with the embossing folder, and today I've got my Golden Rings embossing folder. And it is a 3D embossing folder, which means it's deep. I mean, you really get such beautiful embossing. Now to do this, I'm going to bring over my brand new, hello gorgeous, Stacey Park Big Shot machine. And I want to show you how easy it is to use a 3D embossing folder. First thing I want to say is there's no standardized size for 3D embossing folders. There's no thickness. Now this is an A6 embossing folder, and maybe you have an A2 or a 5x7, but I'm actually talking about the thickness of the embossing folder. So the platforms that I use today and the sandwich I use today may need to be tweaked just a little bit if you're using another embossing folder besides Sizzix. Do all embossing folders go through the Big Shot machine? Oh yes, they do. You just need to figure out what sandwich is going to work best for the embossing folder that you're using. I'm going to bring over my base platform that comes with your Big Shot machine. And on the base platform, they've given you tips and tricks. They've given you sandwiches, the most common sandwiches that you're going to need to use your machine to the best of its ability. And if you're using a 3D embossing folder, a Sizzix 3D embossing folder, it tells you right here how to use it. Embossing folder straight to my platform. I need to put paper in it, and I'm going to be playing with my Reveals paper. New from Sizzix, Reveals paper. It is the same color on both sides, but it's going to reveal something very special to you when I run it through the embossing folder and then sand just a little bit. Now it comes in A6 size, which is what I'm using today, and that fits perfectly inside your embossing folder. It also comes in A4 size, almost like a full-size sheet of paper. So if you're using a larger embossing folder or a larger die or a bigger make, go ahead, get the A4 size. There's 10 colors. You get 4 of each color, regardless if it's the A6 paper or the A4 paper. All 10 colors, 4 of each, 40 sheets total. So I've got my base platform. I'm following the directions that are right on that base platform. I'm going to put my embossing folder. Now, I always do chomp, chomp, chomp. I always do the open side first. There's no right and there's no wrong. You do what works best for you, but for me, I go chomp, chomp, chomp and put the opening in first. And the last thing I need is one of the clear plates that the machine comes with. Give a little bit of a roll. And you can bring it back if you want. It's entirely up to you. Let's see what I have. It's beautiful. Look at the depth of this. I could finish this and just put a beautiful sentiment on this, mount this on a card base. I could make this for a photo mat, but no, we need to take it to the next level. And by doing that, we're going to use the Sizzix sanding blocks. And these sanding blocks are not like every sanding block. Sizzix has gone out of their way to make sure that the grit on this sandpaper works with paper. That means when I sand it, it's not going to tear the paper, or I'm not going to be sanding it for so long and nothing happens. They are sold in a fabulous 2-pack here at Scrapbook.com. Let me see. Now, I told you something's going to reveal. Look at that. It changes to a lighter color of the purple. Put a mat behind it, add a sentiment. You're done, easy peasy. But I want to take it a little bit further. So I am going to bring in my stencil and stamp tool. The lid comes on and off. When I'm using it as a stamp positioner, I'm going to need the lid. But as a stenciling tool, I can take the lid off and just move it off to the side for a later time. Now this is our alignment tool. You have these little holes up here that align with the grid here. They fit right in, and what it does is it allows you to move your stencil anywhere you want it to be. So let's just put a piece of paper down. I've got 2 holes on each of my stencils. They correlate to the 2 pegs right here. And did you know that Sizzix sells adapters for this? So if you have stencils by any other manufacturer, you don't have to put holes in your stencils. Don't go buy a hole punch. Oh no, there's converters, absolutely, and Scrapbook.com has those too. They're sold 10 to a pack, and you can take anybody's stencils. So I can put my stencil and just put them right into those holes. The beauty of this is that I can lift my stencil up and I can move it. And if I were doing a layout and I needed stenciling just across the bottom of my 12 by 12 paper, I could move it all the way down and stencil just across the bottom. If I have a repetitive stencil, I just move it and move it and move it without having to realign every time. Let me show you how easy it is to use. I'm going to take my orange paper off and we're going to put on just a piece of white. Now what's holding it in place? Say hello to sticky grid. Yes, it comes with the tool and it is what makes your paper stay in place. It's not overly tacky. It's like the biggest, best Post-it note you've ever had in your entire life because it holds the paper in place. Doesn't move, but when you go to grab the paper to peel it up, doesn't harm the paper either. And once it's been used, and I'll tell you, you can go a long way with this sticky grid, it comes right off and you buy another sheet, put it down and start all over again. But it does last quite a long time. Now I've got my white paper and I've got my alignment tool and my stencil inside, and I'm ready to add some color. Now while it is an alignment tool, it's not a I'm gonna hold your stencil for you tool. So you absolutely want to keep your hands on your stencil. Let's play with some color. I'm using the Stacey Park Jacquard Premium Dye-Based inks. They are different than everybody else's, and that doesn't mean they're better. It means they're different. All inks have different properties to them. Mine are dye-based, they are water-soluble, they blend without making mud, and you can use embossing powder with them. You can use them as watercolors, and they are so heavily saturated that you can desaturate that color, going from the darkest yellow down to the softest whisper of a yellow with just one ink pad. And see, I'm able to lift up, look, say, oh, doesn't that look good? And then put it right back down again, and it lines itself up. Tools are important. They're the foundation of your crafting. They're the thing you use again and again and again, and gives you that opportunity to create. So I've stenciled. Bam, looks great. Oh, I love that. But I want to add more color to it. I don't want it just yellow. Oh no. So how about some of my blue raspberry? And maybe I come up from the bottom. And I can soften as I come up. And desaturate as I come up. And then I can grab my yellow and I can come down and make that soft, beautiful blend. But I want that bottom darker. I want it rich. So let's see. Oh, not bad, huh? Let's make that bottom deep and dark. Did you know that when you have super dark down here, it makes your top look lighter? So if you go heavy dark down here, it's always going to make everything above it look a little bit lighter. So let's go super dark down here and give that beautiful color. And then slowly, gently, with a light touch, and blend together. What do we think? Now you can use it this way. I could use it horizontally. You have options with this. I could be done with this. Trim it out, mat it out, make a card, make a layout, die cut from it. Either way, while it is part of my Christmas collection, it doesn't scream Christmas unless you want it to. But this looks familiar. That's kind of the same design as the embossing folder you did. Yep, they go together. They work independently of each other, but you can put them together to make even more. It gives the coloring with the dimension. Here we've got the beautiful dimension. Here we've got the coloring. I'm a girl who likes to have it all, so let's make it all. Let's move these off to the side, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to emboss. Only this time, instead of using a colored paper, I'm going to use white. Let's bring over my Sizzix Big Shot machine. My embossing folder down with a chomp, chomp, chomp. One of the clear plates right on top, and send it on through. Should be a fairly easy roll. If for some reason it's not rolling through easy, if it doesn't want to take it, if your machine is struggling, stop. Look at your sandwich again. If it's being forced in, the machine is saying stop. Or if it's going through so easy that it's not embossing anything, well, maybe you're missing something in your sandwich. So I've got my beautiful embossing, and now instead of going on top with my blending brushes or potentially inking my folder and sending my paper through, I can bring back over my cherry blossom stencil and stamp tool. I've got my alignment tool. I've got my embossing element. All I have to do is line it up, put it right on down, and get ready to stencil. So let's do the same. Yellow. Hello, Pineapple Crush. Ooh, let's do some pink. How about just a little bit of pink? This is my dragon fruit. Love it. Little bit of my blue raspberry at the bottom. Now the beautiful thing about this is I can lift this up and I can see what I've done. And I can see if I'm happy with it or if I want to come back and change it just a little bit. But it is a magic moment because now I've got the texture. You can hear the texture, you can feel the texture, and I've got the color. With my 3D embossing folders and my stencils, you can just emboss, or you can just stencil. And if I had wanted to, I could throw embossing powder down and do a heat emboss, or I could watercolor with them. It all starts with the right tools for the right job. Start with Sizzix and Scrapbook.com. All right, you guys, it's me, Stacey, and I am a licensed designer for Sizzix, and thanks for hanging with me today. I hope I showed you something that made you go, oh, or I can do that, or even better, I want to do that. All right, bye everybody.